Family Wear is a faith-based crusted clothing accessory line that promotes our faith, life, family, and traditional marriage through fashion appropriate for both work and play. Shop now to look great, evangelize, and support Fiat Ministry Network. Share the good news about our website with your friends to encourage everyone to take a stand with style.
Welcome to the Fiat Ministry Show, episode 112. Welcome everybody back. I took a couple weeks off, just trying to get everything. A lot's going on with the Fiat Ministry Network. I want to welcome everybody in the chat rooms. We have a couple of them. We're on Twitch. I'm going to bring that back up. It's twitch.tv Fiat Ministry Network. We are also on Holy Faith Media. Welcome everybody in that chat room and everybody watching there. We're also on YouTube with just the Fiat Ministry Network. Our website is fiatministrynetwork.tv/live, and that's where you can all watch us there. And so just welcome everybody to All Saints Day. Hopefully you went to Mass, and we went last night with the family, and so that was it was a great homily. I'll probably mention that later in the show, but we have a great guest tonight. He's with Robert, is we're going to call him the 30-minute apologetic, Catholic apologetic. Man, he just does Facebook shows when he can, and just great information within 30 minutes. It's great, and so we'll have him on in a little bit. I just want to again make sure that there are a lot of things going on with Fiat and everything. I just want to thank again Holy Faith Media for all they do. We're working together. I know Jonathan over there is very busy in the chat room right now, so thank you for supporting us and working together. It's been a great opportunity to combine efforts, is what I guess I was trying to say. I do want to always thank, and we play their commercial before the show, Faith Life Family Wear. They supported us, Missy DeConti and the whole DeConti family. Just a great bunch of people that we just want to support. So go to their website. Advent, Christmas is coming up. Take a look at the website. It's www.flfwear.com, and I should be able to bring up their website. Here we go. And here's the website. Just a bunch of stuff, especially for this time of year. And you can also watch Missy's shows that we've done on the Fiat Ministry. She's doing her just trying to get through some health issues and just, with family things. So we wish her well and the whole family. And also, I am going to let everybody know about next Tuesday that everybody should make sure you vote. And we are doing a prayer night for our country. And it'll start around 8:30ish, live streaming. And we're just going to be talking about what's going on with the results, do a little praying, just, as a family of Fiat, letting everybody know that, we need I'll say we'll turn the country red, white and blue, but mostly red tomorrow as you're voting. But I just want to let everybody know about that. And then the next day, on Wednesday, coming back, Laura and Jennifer will be coming back on No Soul Left Behind, and they got a great lineup coming up in November. So check it out. We also will do the First Friday Latin Mass tomorrow night, and we'll have that streaming, and we'll notify everybody about that. And I just want to welcome everybody checking out their prayer hands in Twitch, having some fun over there. And Laura is at 153 prayer hands, so that's pretty good. So I think that's all of the advertising. I'm going to do a little prayer and then have Robert on, and we will start the show. So let's, in the name of Father, Son, Holy Spirit, amen. Lord, thank you for this evening. Thank you for Robert. Thank you for everyone watching right now and in their own time. Thank you for this day of remembering and praying for all saints and becoming a saint and focusing that time here as just understanding that the faith starts here and understanding that we can become saints in our own attitudes and the way that we approach life in general. And so just thank you for this evening, and thank you for Robert again. Bless his family, and let's just give everything, all our gifts to you. In your name we pray. In the name of Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen. So, further ado, I'll turn up his mic, and I will welcome Robert. How are you doing?
Good. How are you doing, Ken?
That's I just again, I ask all my guests that are new, they're Fiat, saying yes to Jesus Christ. If I know you have a lot of videos online expressing different topics of apologetics, Catholic apologetics, and just spreading the word of our faith. And just give us a little bit of a background and how you got to the point that you're doing all these different great videos on Facebook right now.
Well, thank you, Kent, for that introduction. I think the best way to start was from the beginning. I'll try to make it short. I started the Catholic Church and Reformation debate forum really because when I got onto Facebook, I tried to join various groups and have discussions, debates, and, just strictly just clear, no antagonism. But, at certain points I would always get blocked categorically. So based on just simply, sometimes I was on I'm not going to mention the denomination because I don't think that's fair, but I would be on so many different denominations stations that I would get blocked within 2 minutes sometimes of raising simply an early church father, and that's a fact. It's not it's a historical fact. So basically, to make a long story short, that's how I created our forum in 2011 in November, I believe, and it's grown to 75,000 members plus, which is really a blessing from God, because I don't know if in 7 years we could, people grow that high, but it's just a great blessing. Actively on the monthly basis, there's about 33,000 people active, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's really great. And I love that you're even with all of your work and the numbers that you're having at the forum and in that group on Facebook. What got you to that point of I know we were talking last night testing everything, and retreats, and getting that
Oh yeah.
that faith of focusing so much and saying yes to Jesus Christ and continuing to do that through your work. What is that? Is there some moments that you can say that, oh, that Jesus was there, and I just found, I felt that I needed to do more than just kind of go through the motions. I think that's kind of, a lot of people go. I mean, was there a point of anything like that?
I would have to say that the very first point was basically a strange way of a priest inviting me to a group, which was a Catholic charismatic group. I had no idea what the heck this was and all that and whatever, but that kind of started to, go up the hill. And of course the devil like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he starts to throw in, I was only a teenager, 15, 16 years old. And then I, you get tangled up with questions. I didn't really get too apologetic at that time. I didn't really understand a lot of things. But then there were other people, other, powers at bay at the time. You go to high school, you get involved with some of these camps, like Camp Awana, which is a Protestant Bible evangelical type of camp, which it subtly tried to remove that Catholicism away from me. And so I struggled with a lot of questions, and that sort of built on into my 20s. So I think Jimmy Swaggart had a lot to do with it. I mean, one time I came from mass, midnight mass, high as a kite, and he turned on the television. It was that Channel 38. I think some people in Chicago can relate. Local channel he was on, and he threw the Catholicism right down, and I was like on a thin little thread. So I was always on a very, negligible thread earlier on, but the Lord always kept prodding me, and I went through it's called the Jesus Christ Seminar in the Charismatic Renewal, and I asked for faith as a gift, and I guess God just chose that you're going to get that faith over a period of 30 years instead of all at once. So that's kind of how I think the beginnings started, really. There were a lot of players. I mean, a lot of priests, a lot of retreats that I went to, but those were mostly because I was searching. I was trying to find what's the, how to explain certain things. And suddenly these things all came to pass where I just suddenly, in my mind, in my search, I suddenly started to understand why do, this Pope wears this, or why does these vestibules exist for that, these little smell bells and whistles, all these things were answered. So that's kind of in a nutshell, Kent,
Well, and that's great because, sometimes it's the knowledge is so much is power, and especially with, evangelizing and, teaching people, like with everything with Fiat and everything that you're doing, you're trying to touch someone. I mean, you might, and sometimes it might be just you're touching yourself and just motivating you or making you feel like, there's something more to just me. And that's what I think sometimes we kind of get, caught up in everyday life. And I'll get into this a little bit later, but you want to be a saint. Like my parish priest last night was during his homily. We need to be saints right now. I mean, you can, there's different levels of sainthood, but you can still focus on your attitude and motivation of how you prepare in your faith and everyday life, and sometimes you.
And that is exactly it. I mean, we're going through so many rocky events today in the church, but we don't realize that these rocky events happened, throughout the church's history. I mean, look at the Dark Ages, look at the Middle Ages, even before the Middle Ages. I mean, we're talking 100 years before, there came unity under one pope instead of three. I mean, imagine all those people living and dying, not know,
Yeah.
going through all that. So as you mentioned about, Father talking about what he said, it's like us living in the in the time of confusion, but striving to be saints at the same time, because saints never stopped. God always gave us saints, even in the middle of confusion.
Yeah. That's a
That was a
great.
key thing
No,
that I
I
mentioned.
like. Yeah. Thank you for that. I mean, it's just I I I mean, just going a little bit back on to just your work and all that, and then we'll get into. I didn't mean to go all over the place, but I, I mean, were there some of the topics that you've done? I mean, you go about 30 minutes, a little bit less sometimes on your,
So there's
and,
a little more.
and sometimes a little more, but um, were there a couple that you just like I had to get out and do
Oh
the
yeah.
research and just let it say my piece and hopefully teach someone um, and taught myself in teaching yourself something that maybe you didn't know? Were there some that were just you're so fired up that you wanted to even know more about the topic, so you just okay, I got that information and I just had to get online and say it out to Facebook?
And I absolutely, there's two there that come to mind automatically. There was several in the beginning, but I would say that there was one friend who I friended. I guess she must have met me through the forum, and I'm not going to mention names or anything, but she was having difficulty with a sibling at the time, with the Church of Christ. And I thought, Church of Christ seems like a pretty nice denomination, cozy, sweet. After hearing what she had to say and all this stuff that was going on, I did two-part after researching really thoroughly. And it's sad to say they're very cultish. It's a very cultish group, but it allowed me to realize how important the subject was. And thanks be to God, her brother's doing really well, and he's active in the church again. And I'm just, praise God that it, all of us all of our prayers and this, the topics that I built on that particular church helped maybe in some small way, to in that fashion. A second part would be, I think that the biggest one is the papacy. And I don't think I ever stopped talking about that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them, intercession of saints. There's always, but the papacy, I think, is the biggest important. I've lost a lot of Facebook friends over that because, over time, a lot of us have viewed, who are younger people, maybe through 38, 39, have understood maybe through 45, okay, we lived 25 years through John Paul II, one of the greatest popes probably in the century, 20th century maybe. Then we lived through Benedict the 16th, the 18th, what is it, the 16th? Yeah.
Mm.
And so we didn't realize we've had it too cozy, and so now, we're going through some issues that we sometimes need to face. And I know that some of the topics that I might have are jarring, but I think that they're very important because I think it's important to ask the question, when is the Pope infallible? I mean, is he infallible at 30,000 feet up in the air answering a question? Or is he infallible in a certain way? So that would be the second most pivotal thing that I have to say that was important.
Yeah, and that was a great. I mean, just we'll definitely link it up to the show notes, but that video was great. Just teaching and learning. I just want to welcome everybody, Laura and Patricia and Thomas, to the chat. Anyone else, please let us know where you're from. We're talking with Robert Sledz, and we're just eventually we're going to bring into All Saints Day and talk about that. But if you have any questions or comments, please put them into our Facebook or YouTube chat. And I just really appreciate everybody watching tonight. Robert, as it's, All Saints Day, and again, I kind of wanted to. I'm gonna I'm gonna take a little bit of what my parish priest was saying and kind of thinking about with my children. You're kind of, in the sense, you need to teach yourself to be a saint as much for your children, but then in the sense of anyone that is as not a parent, or just single, or in that sense, you can act attitude with your family, your friends, people that you're walking down the street, just those things of your attitude, taking a little bit of time and opening a door for someone. I mean, I know those are very simple, like, things that we just like go through the motions of life. But what do you think, as being saints on this earth? I mean, are there some kind of couple of things that you would want to, like, express that you're thinking of?
Sure. I think that a saint is certainly more than a statue.
Yeah,
That's
yes.
for sure. I would probably venture to say that I can't think of anyone more fitting of, from my experience, of sainthood, or the the progression to, like Mother Angelica and Bishop Fulton Sheen. I mean, look at those two guys, gals and a man.
Yeah.
Both started, a television program, television programs that lasted years. I mean, Mother Angelica is still running. I think 30 years. I think it's going in. But I mean, we're talking, these are huge people, and Mother Angelica started with $100 in her pocket.
Yeah.
And someone told her one time, there's no way you're going to get off the ground, because they were thinking, of the flesh, and I just think of it in terms of, simplicity, just doing our daily apologizing, saying you're sorry is very important, little things, like you said, Kent,
Yeah. No,
I think we tend to think of, oh God, sainthood. I mean, how am I going to get there? It's not about getting anywhere. It's really in the being in the present moment. How are we being in the present moment? Yeah. And, we fail.
Oh, yeah. Well, and the other thing, and I should just, I'm going to just send, I'll just send a little bit extra in the offering next, this coming up weekend for Father. But we almost praise athletes and actors and Hollywood and entertainment and all this stuff as such, and I'm guilty of that too in times of sports or something, and I'm trying not to think that way anymore with everything going on. But do we focus on looking at saints or talking to I hope and pray that with my children, I'm teaching them how to be saints and understanding there's a bigger picture than just you. And I love all three of them, but I need to let them know that you need to understand that you need to be, they don't know what being humble, and, they act humble sometimes, or, you don't, but, you don't even, you see a lot of how to be a saint sometimes, with just, oh, go ahead.
No, I just wanted to say something, because I remember And, I'm certainly not a father. My brother is. But it's actually his birthday today.
Oh, happy birthday.
On All Saints Day.
That's great.
I think the biggest thing is I went to church one time. I was going to confession, and I saw a father with 2 children. And that is really where it begins. When you present the faith to little kids from the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
they grow up with that sense of understanding of what right and wrong is, what many of the terminologies is. If you don't have the time to explain it to them, they're not going to grow up knowing anything.
Yeah.
And luckily, I had a grandmother, my brother had a grandmother, who took us to church every Sunday,
Mm-hmm.
And she, presented, through the Mass. We grew up in that faith-filled home, and I think that is what's important, because we now know, though we don't always measure up, what is right and wrong and what we need to do to overcome certain things. Yeah, we do things that are stupid, but we go to confession, we ask God's forgiveness, and we try to live the best way we can.
Yeah. No, great. Yeah. Thank you. There's a couple statements in the, thank you, Laura. Sainthood is a grace from God, in the chat room on Twitch. And then, our priest was preaching that the same thing about celebrity. Saints are my best friend. What is it? I need to get my monitor closer. And I am completing a discernment from the pop culture celebrities and athletes, and so yeah, disconnecting, and that's.
And I wanted to mention that all saints, the saints are, people have a problem with, why do Catholics have so many saints? We're all saints, but you know what you have to understand? Some people don't understand that, in the correlation of football and baseball, there's a Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
Now, those professional players are all professional.
Yeah.
We could be called saints, like Paul wrote letters to saints, but, addressing them as saints, though I don't remember any of them going gloatedly saying, I'm a saint, you know? But, having said that, this is God's Hall of Fame day, Those saints in heaven are God's Hall of Fame, so that we as, even in the world as pros, I don't know if I'm such a pro, but still, we're in that cloud of witnesses, even though we don't have, this was my big thing of an analogous to Moses, God appearing to Moses in a cloud.
Yeah.
And in Hebrews, this cloud of witnesses, that's a cloud of saints that when we talk to them and ask their intercession, they go to God.
No, I like that. There. Yeah, it's the Hall of Fame Saint Day. Yeah, I mean, I like that. Yeah, Laura likes that too. Big amen in the chat room. I think that's one thing that we, people are question all what we're doing as Catholics with the saints and with the statues and we don't in a sense they worship the statues and we don't do that. It's just like, but we need, I love the analogy of you need a picture of your family when you're at work or when you're, you need to see them. It's the same thing. There you go. I'll bring that up as a.
You need to see your mother.
Yes, you do.
Nothing wrong with that.
No.
But as far as statues, I wanted to bring this up if it's okay.
Yeah,
Ted.
go ahead.
Interesting. If you look at Joshua 4:4, and I brought this up in my forum, and I showed how people say that they say how you can't bow before a statue or before a crucifix. Well, Joshua had no problem with his brother bowing before the Ark of the Covenant like this to the ground. I mean, the Ark of the Covenant is material. there's no, I mean, you can't see God. And another person from, another faith said, well, because God commanded, the ark to be built. But he was pivoting because there's no place in the Old Testament that God commands anyone to bow before the Ark of the Covenant, which is actually a statue, nothing
Yeah.
else.
Yeah.
So because of that, there's nowhere that God commands that action, yet that action took place many times. So that's my way of correlating of me kneeling down before the crucifix and also venerating that, just as Joshua venerated the Ark of the Covenant.
No, that's
just want to throw that in.
No, thank you. I mean, that's another, I'm getting, Laura in the chat room, just to add on to what your, statues are for meditation and I think, I completely agree, with, just, there's a lot that we could take from this day, and, I'm pretty excited that, is there something else that you want to add? I know you might you need to talk to someone, but if there's anything else to add, I just want to let everybody know that, don't be afraid to be a saint. I mean, I think you mentioned 2 saints that will be saints. Bishop Fulton Sheen and Mother Angelica. I mean, they're just, those, you look at them and it's kind of cool to be able to, because that there's been saints that were in the early 1900s, into the mid 1900s, that you probably don't have. I mean, you might have seen them. But to have those 2, and you have YouTube and all these videos, and you can listen to Mother Angelica on a podcast, or watch Bishop Fulton Sheen, to know that they will be. And the one thing that I don't focus, and this is another thing for my priest, but but don't focus on trying to be them. And that's
Right,
sometimes
exactly, yeah.
that, and I love that don't try be who you are with the gifts that you have, and use the gifts from God to become the saint that you're supposed to be, because we need to, you can look up to them and model things that we're doing, but you can never be, it's just impossible to become them, but to focus on things of the attitude that you have for being a saint, the way you live your life, the way you treat other people, everything. And I'm hoping to do a great, I'm going to say this on the show right now, but if anyone want to take the copy this series, go ahead. It's my gift. But I'm looking to do a series on the 10 Commandments, because one thing nowadays, if we could just focus on the 10 Commandments and kind of live them, really truly live them, what a difference this world would be. I mean, I'm going to say country plus this world, and some people just, and that would be also with the saint. I mean, that's, you're following God's commandments to become a saint, and I'm hoping to do that. If people would like to come on, or I'm going to ask a couple priests to come on for doing that. Hopefully my parish priest, I want to work on that. But I think that's one thing that I always think about now is, what about the 10 Commandments? And we just brush them to the side like they're nothing. And it's just kind of sad that we forget about those, they're just 10. You can count on, I mean, it's just like the rosary, 10 beads to pray. But anyways, I just wanted to also say that. But if there's any final thoughts, Robert, I appreciate. I know everybody's just watching
Yeah.
and. But thank you for coming on the show. Is there anything else that you would
I
like
love
to?
it. I love it. What I would mention, as far
Yeah.
as saints is concerned, don't be afraid to pray to saints.
Mm.
Folks, don't be afraid to pray to them. Prayer in the Webster's Dictionary in 1901 means speech, talk. And when when Jesus Christ taught his apostles how to pray, what did he say in the Bible? Read that passage very closely. He said, "When you pray, say." Notice what he said. He defines what prayer is right there. It means to talk to. When you pray, say.
Say it.
So there you go. I mean, and what about Jesus at the transfiguration with Moses and Elijah? I mean, people could have argued and said, well, why don't you just talk to God the Father? So there's a lot of things that we have as far as in Catholicism, in early church history, and in the Bible. If we just open it up, it's like Scott Hahn used to say, it's like Catholic Church is like a lion. You open it up and it defends itself. That's my
No, I love that.
My quip.
Yes. No, I remember hearing that. That's a great saying. I just, thank you everybody watching tonight. I appreciate that. Again, I want to really thank Holy Faith Media and Jonathan over there for our support together. And thank you for allowing us to venture on to another YouTube channel and simulcast over there. I again thank you, Robert, for your time. It's been
thank you.
Fun tonight just to talk about the Saints. You're always welcome back. I know we're maybe talking about having you pop in and be able to do some of your shows with us and kind of have maybe guests and do, you could do a lot here.
Sky's the limit,
the
right?
sky is the limit right here. But I just want to thank you as becoming just another person to meet up. It's one of the great parts about one good thing about the internet is the way you can network with people all over the world. Jonathan's up in Canada, you're Illinois, and it's just a great way of having networking. And so thank you for your time tonight. Would it be okay if you would do a final prayer, if there's any final thing, and if you want to do a final prayer, and that would be great.
Yes. I'd like to ask, through the intercession of all the saints in heaven, which is multitudes in the cloud with God, to look down upon all of us and to strengthen us in our journeys, in all our weaknesses, and to give us hope that we can be an army of soldiers for Christ if we just simply follow his will, do the listen to the Sermon on the Mount, and don't forget the rosary. It's amazing. I've learned that myself in the last few weeks. Maybe we'll get to that some other time, but it's amazing. Amen.
Amen. Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen. There's a question from Jonathan.
Johnny. Okay.
Yes.
My friend here.
I think that's it might be something he's asking for off the show. I don't know if it's actually how do you deal with proof?
A little shy, maybe sometimes.
Yeah, I think that's after. But again, thank you. Laura was saying that she's in Indiana, and so No Souls Left Behind next Wednesday. I want to pop that up. I again thank you, Robert, for your time tonight. We have a busy schedule for Fiat. Tomorrow night, we have the first Friday night Mass over in Indiana.
Yes.
And we also do have the coming up on Tuesday of next week again. I'll pop that up. It's prayer night. We could call it whatever you want, but I called it prayer night for our country. Please vote on November 6th.
Yes, please vote red.
Yes, vote red. And I'm hoping to have Robert on, and we're going to have a bunch of just a big round table, bring up some results of, local, elections, talk about the country, talk about prayer. What we need is God in this country, and God is coming back. And I know we've had a couple a priest on, and we've talked to, bringing God back in this country, and hopefully we can, kind of talk about that.
That should be a great conversation. Yeah.
So that will be starting around 8:30 Eastern. Whenever people can pop in, I'll let people pop in and off whenever they have to go. But it's just going to be a round robin evening. And then finally, and then I'll let everybody go. No Soul Left Behind. Great week coming up next week and the month. Check it out. Please support Laura and Jennifer and everything that they're doing. We need to keep all the souls and teach them. Some people, there was a question a couple weeks ago asking, I just don't understand the faith of the Catholic faith, and I would like to know more about it. And you don't be afraid to ask questions, and that's one thing.
Feel free to ask me. I mean, I've
got Robert
10, 12
email
videos.
Yeah, Robert's email is right underneath his name. Check it out. Please email him. Check out his forum. I've had that popped up a couple times. I will have it in links.
I'm so thirsty today.
and that's about it. Again, thank you for everybody. There's no other questions. I think we're going to say that's a wrap for tonight. I just want to say God bless everybody, and we'll see you actually tomorrow night, and we'll do a stream tomorrow, and we'll
All Souls Day.
All Souls Day, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, there you go. We could have done another show.
Wow.
And so for that, I am going to. Oh, yeah. So give me a second, and if there's anything else, I will let everybody have a great evening, and God bless, and we will see you next week on the Fiat Ministry Show. God bless.
Yes.
Let me find my...
So we're, they're off
hold
the
on.
air. Okay.
Oh, hold on. We'll get off. Here we go. Good night.